Don Rumsfeld. So you tell me about stupidity, my friend. How does it perpetuate itself in the Republican Party when you have a Mitt Romney who claims he's American, yet his father was born in Mexico, and he doesn't want to tell the truth? So why don't we talk about the disinformation of the people who are continuously there and stop talking about this national conspiracy? What we have is sociopathy in this country. We have two Mormons running, both of whom are incompetent, both of whom are lying to the public, and the Republicans are saying to you, we're going to put an idiot like Michelle Bachmann, who talks about abortion and stupidity and was a prosecutor for the IRS and telling you about Tea Party notions.
No, I know.
That's not stupidity.
Doc, I want to shift.
My point to you is the government, the system isn't working, my friend. It's not that effective. What we have here is a very effective, pristine act of terror that has far greater significance than any government. It means that there's virtual terrorism. That's why I wrote a series of books called Cyber Terrorism, Cyber Nation, and Active Measures. Those of us who understood it, I could predict it, but I had to use fiction. But we have to talk about a system that's dysfunctional, my friend, and your audience has to understand that. They're presented with a president who can't make a decision. We've talked about that. Who's ineffectual, who holds the whole country hostage to a debt limit where we could lose our credit rating. Now, if that's not terrorism, you tell me what is.
No, I hear you. You're absolutely right.
No, it's not just you hear me. This is really dangerous because the markets are already saying if we keep playing this chicky game, it's very dangerous. And on the other side, you've got a moron like Bonner and Cantor, both of whom are totally dysfunctional and represent their own interests. So now
Doc, listen.
Me, Alex, and ask your audience, who in fact represents this country? The United States of America, and our soldiers, and the ones who come back, and our jobs that we need. Nobody's addressing it.
Yeah, Doc.
You got one moron, Michelle Bachmann. You got this guy Karn, who's a pizza king, and you got two Mormons who are disasters. Huntsman was my ambassador to Singapore. He can't run his own campaign. He put in $2 million, and he doesn't even know how to run a simple campaign.
Dr. Pieczenik.
Telling you he's a business.
Dr. Pieczenik, I've promised to go to phone calls, but I want to put bookends on the terrorists right now, if I can ask you, and then later we'll get into politics here in just a minute.
No, but it's relevant to this because we have a dysfunctional system, and you're telling me that this system can create an entire suppression of the U.S. people? It's not possible, my friend.
Well, we're going to get in. We'll get into your research into the political rot and the level it's reached, and I agree to you to a certain extent. You just have the bureaucracy and others. And when they do carry out staged events like the bin Laden killing, it is shoddy. It is very obvious versus what's happened with this killer, this reported killer over in Norway. But finishing up with that, when he talks about other cells, at least 2 other cells and more attacks, and you talk about the fact that he didn't write all this and he didn't put all this together, who do you think's behind this?
Well, I think the Swedes are very much involved with this. There's no question in my mind that part of this organization has Swedish inputs because the Swedes were very much involved in the 1990s when I wrote that book 20 years ago in terms of creating the rise of neo-Nazi and the so-called, quote, Aryan supremacy, when in fact Sweden has a very dangerous history. And that's what I want to get into so people understand this. This is not against all Swedes. The Swedes proclaim neutrality. In the meantime, the famous Wallenberg family, who was supposedly saving Jews, that was a false flag issue because they were ordered by the OSS, a guy named Niels Bohr, the famous physicist, that one of their sons had to either rectify the name, and instead you had Nazi elements in Sweden that has never changed. First of all, the Swedish king during World War II was a Nazi, was a German. Pro-German. You had Mark Wallenberg, who was developing armaments. Then you had Jacob Wallenberg, who supported the Nazi Party. Sweden allowed 440,000 Nazis to go into Norway and broke the neutrality and allowed the Norwegians to fight them. So on one hand of Norway, you had Quisling. On the other hand, in the fjords, you had all the men and women of Norway fighting the Germans and holding down 440,000 people. So the roots of Nazism comes through Sweden. Not Norway, even though you had a Quisling. And you look at Sweden underneath that false flag and underneath the deception and propaganda of neutrality, you will find the roots of the rise of the neo-Nazi in the 21st century. And that's what I would look at.
Well, it is something that we need to continue to research. I just see a Freemason in the Scotland shooting being used to ban guns in the UK. I see the Freemason with the Tasmanian situation in Australia being used. And now this guy was meeting at some type of Knights Templar meeting in England. The whole thing reeks of British intelligence, but you're saying it doesn't. We'll be right back.
We don't need to convince you that the threat of forced entry is on the rise and that your door locks are inadequate. Now you can virtually eliminate the threat of your door being kicked in with the Door Sentinel. The Door Sentinel offers standalone door kick-in protection for under $67 and installs in minutes on any door. Turn your home or apartment into a fortress. Get the Door Sentinel at sentinelsecuritygroup.com or call 678-648-6757. The Door Sentinel, always on guard for you.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
Attention gardeners, this is an urgent GCN self-reliance update. GCN has just discovered a new bioactive superfood for garden plants, flowers, and herbs. It's called Proto-Grow, and it's so effective at producing rapid plant growth that it seems to almost force plants to grow like crazy under practically any soil and light conditions. Now, here's the best part for our listeners who garden for self-reliance. Proto-Grow's unique blend of C nutrients maximizes mineral uptake and dramatically increases bloom set, creating maximum plant growth in minimum time. Proto-Grow works by providing geometric keys, which have the capacity to actually unlock the genetic code for nutritional uptake in plants. Proto-Grow's full spectrum plant fertility means fruits and vegetables with extraordinary taste and up to 10 times the nutritional value. And if you want to double or triple the potency of herbs or wheatgrass, you can. If you want to grow nutritionalized superfoods with non-hybrids, it's now easy. GCN listeners who want to grow dirt cheap superfoods should visit the Proto-Grow website at growlikecrazy.com. That's www.growlikecrazy.com or call 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365.
Will I have garlic breath after I take Ali-C?
We get that question all the time about the world's best garlic extract, Ali-C. And the answer is, Ali-C contains stabilized allicin, nature's antimicrobial agent, and the active ingredient in crushed garlic, but will not give you garlic breath. Scientifically proven in double-blind studies, using low doses of allicin greatly reduces the number, severity, and duration of common colds. Our powerful Ali-C contains 300 milligrams of stabilized allicin. Just one tablet of Ali-C is equivalent to 40 garlic cloves. It's effective against asthma, MRSA, bacterial, fungal, and viral infections, and helps lower high blood pressure and high cholesterol. Plus, it's a natural mosquito repellent. Boosts resistance to infection with nature's best garlic extract, Ali-C. For more information and to order Ali-C, call 877-888-7126 or go to garlichealthproducts.com. That's 877-888-7126 or garlichealthproducts.com. Fight back with Ali-C.
Okay, I'm going to get Dr. Pieczenik to repeat what he said once we went to break. He's on cell phone, so he doesn't hear the music when we're going out to break, and kept talking. I wanted to be able to finish his statement when I talked about the British intelligence connection. And then I asked Dr. Pieczenik, former top counterterrorism specialist, wrote the book for the State Department on it, carried out many of his own operations himself. Will this guy be successful? And, you know, what group does he think is behind him? And then I promise we're going to your phone calls. For those that have been patiently holding, I'm going to get to you. Dr. Pieczenik, go ahead and repeat what you were saying.
Well, I said that he had a meeting in 2002 in London with the Knights Templar, where the group was founded. I have no doubt in my mind that British intelligence, MI5, had monitored. If, in fact, there is any affiliation to MI5 or MI6, this will be very, very serious for England, especially after you and I predicted correctly that Murdoch was involved with Scotland Yard and British intelligence. But if this is the case, England is in very serious trouble. I hope it's not the case, but I can't rule it out. The other members of the group, as I said, have Swedish influence. There's no question in my mind that he has been influenced throughout his thinking and preparation by the Swedes and other members around Northern Europe, possibly Germans and others who know propaganda and theory. There's a very clear understanding in his presentation, as I called it, a cyber terrorism presentation, because he's using the internet to brilliantly present propaganda through icons, music, and weapon systems, and creating an ideology and fear through that internet without necessarily attacking any other institution, other than the fact that he wants to promulgate his ideology and make himself the virtual head of the virtual entity called the 21st century neo-Nazi movement. This has nothing to do with Christians in America or the patriots in America or citizen patriots, but it will appeal to many people who are disaffected in Europe and around the world with unemployment, with lack of jobs, and with immigration. And this is where we have to be very careful, because our own intelligence system better be on top of this. They have to get a group that thinks out of the box, not in the box, and they better start understanding what this is about. This is a form of terrorism that's on steroids. I have waited for this for 20 years. This is unlike anything we've seen before. He will stay alive, and quite frankly, in the world of terrorism, by definition, he is already successful. He has created the terror that he needed. Whether we approve of it or not is not relevant, but he will continue to be successful. Wow, because he has been able to promulgate his theory, explain it, and appears normal. He is not abnormal, and he is not crazy. It is a big mistake to categorize this individual as anything other than a very calculating, cold killer. And you can say whatever you want, neo-Nazi, Christian, I don't believe he's any one of those, other than a power grabber and a virtual putsch, which means he's going to be the virtual leader of a 21st century cyber group that will, in fact, confront the issues that the white person feels in a time of dysfunction.
Well, he had to know that he's only going to serve a maximum of 21 years under Norwegian law. That's 81 days per person killed. But thank God now they've lowered the number of dead to 76. So that is certainly some good news that that number has been lowered. Now I promise to go to calls, Dr. Pieczenik, and I'm sure they'll be all over the map, but you can spar with them back and forth. You know, quite frankly, I don't know if I hope you're right or I hope you're wrong, because it's frightening to think that government intelligence agencies would do something like this to go after the general public, you know, to rebrand the war on terror to everybody. That's frightening. But to think that there is somebody who pulled a Hitler, where he marched on, you know, from the beer hall to the government building to take over, and a bunch of people got shot in that street battle, and then Hitler was put in jail for a couple of years and wrote Mein Kampf. My struggle, that was certainly all scripted. We'll be right back with the third hour in 1 minute.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cal Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.